very romantic sense to it where you enter, you don't have a clue as to where you are. You come up this beautiful little road and then you come to the top of the mountain and you just look down and all you see is just fantastic water. And you're literally perched up on top of the crown of all the trees.
And that's kind of what really interested me when Chamika came up with the design. And I know the amount of thought and detail that Chamika goes into when he conceptualizes what he wants to do with what was this raw plot of land.
And for me, it was very important to kind of bring in a very vernacular sense with a contemporary interpretation to it. And then one of those symbolic elements in architecture would be the roofs. Here, in fact, the more rooted part of the architecture would be the roofs, and where everything else is very contemporary. Kind of as you enter, you see a beautiful roofscape through which you see the jungle and the forest and all of that together. But mostly being very true to the site, because each plot of land has to be very well thought of because of the terrain, and to kind of give everybody a view of the beautiful waterfront. Every single house or villa has their own private neighbors of nothing more than 3. It's not a row housing, as it were. It's very private, and friends amongst friends being together, almost having their little secret door between 2 villas.
And at the same time, we're also able to give this really high level of amenity. For example, we have the Aarden Club, where we have a rooftop restaurant, which has a beautiful view of the reservoir. Ability to give that amenity while also creating these beautifully designed villas with lots of lush green space around them is, I think, something really exciting for CPG, because we've never actually had this kind of scale to work with, and being able to create this.
I think the great part is that Chamika's tried to keep most of the terrain untouched. We've left large pieces of greenery.
Yeah, that's like an acre there, isn't it?
I really loved it when you came and spoke about the rewilding concept, and also keeping intact as many of the original patches of forest as possible, because at the end of the day, when the project is all done and finished, those patches of forest, what's going to connect you to what the land was.
Absolutely.
Before we started this project. Like-minded neighbors, like-minded community, just people enjoying everything about, living in this wonderful space and making new connections, new friendships, perhaps. It's an experience, right?
And also, I guess, the advantage that this being very close to the Victoria Golf Club, which is now managed by Troon, and also proximity to Kandy.
And everything that we've generated out of that process of friendship and thinking alike and thinking out loud, and the connections we've made with each other is really what drives us to continue to do these projects.
I think a very interesting part of this whole process when we were coming to putting this project together was coming up with a name. We just kept saying Digana, 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 and then finally, it's like, let's just call it Digana.